you know. Relationships are one of those things that everyone talks about, but no one really understands completely. We grow up hearing about love, friendship, loyalty, heartbreak, and all that, but no one gives you an actual manual for how to handle it all. You just sort of learn by trying, failing, and trying again. It's messy, confusing, beautiful, and sometimes completely exhausting. But at the end of the day, relationships are what give life its texture. All those little emotional ups and downs that make everything feel real. It's funny how we all crave connection, yet fear it at the same time. We want to be known, but we're terrified of being fully seen. There's this constant balance between wanting to open up and wanting to protect yourself. You meet someone who feels right, and suddenly you find yourself caring about what they think, how they see you, and whether you're enough. But that's the trick. Being enough isn't about being perfect. It's about being honest, showing up as yourself even when it feels risky. Because the truth is, real connection only happens when you stop pretending. I've noticed how the best relationships, whether romantic or platonic, have this quiet ease to them. It's not about constant excitement or drama. It's about comfort. The kind of comfort where silence isn't awkward, where you can just exist near someone without having to perform. You can sit together, each doing your own thing, and still feel close. That's real intimacy. Not just saying I love you, but feeling safe enough to be boring together. People change, though, and that's where it gets complicated. Sometimes you grow in the same direction, and sometimes you don't. And when that happens, it hurts. Not because anyone did something wrong, but because growth isn't always synchronized. I think one of the hardest parts of life is learning to let people go with love instead of resentment. Just understanding that some connections have an expiration date, even if the love was real. It's like reading a great book. It ends, but you're still glad you read it. Friendship, honestly, might be the purest form of love there is. No expectations, no contracts, just mutual care. I love the kind of friendships where you don't have to talk every day, but you both know the bond is still there. The ones where you can send a random meme after months of silence and pick up right where you left off. It's not about frequency. It's about understanding. Those friends are rare, but when you find them, hold on tight. Communication is everything, and yet it's the hardest part. We're all walking around with our own fears, triggers, and ways of expressing love. Some people show care by talking, others by doing. Some need reassurance, others need space. It's so easy to misinterpret silence as disinterest or distance as rejection, when sometimes it's just someone dealing with their own storm. I think half of our problems would disappear if we all learned to ask, "What did you mean by that?" instead of assuming the worst. There's something powerful about listening, really listening. Not just waiting for your turn to talk, but actually hearing what someone is saying beneath the words. People rarely want advice, they just want to feel understood. That's love in its simplest form. To look at someone and say, "I get you." And honestly, love isn't always fireworks. Sometimes it's quiet, steady, almost ordinary. It's checking in after a long day, making someone coffee just the way they like it, remembering the little things. We often chase grand gestures, but the real magic is in the small, consistent ones. Anyone can buy flowers. Not everyone will remember how you take your tea. But relationships also require balance, giving without losing yourself. I used to think love meant sacrificing everything for someone else, but now I see it differently. Real love doesn't ask you to shrink. It encourages you to grow, to become more of yourself, not less. If you have to dim your light to keep someone comfortable, that's not love. That's fear. And love should never feel like walking on eggshells. There's also that stage after a relationship ends, the quiet after the storm. The moment when you realize the world didn't stop turning even though it felt like it would. You start to find pieces of yourself again, ones you forgot you had. It's strange. Healing doesn't happen all at once. It comes in waves. One day you miss them like crazy, and the next day you're okay. That's progress, even if it doesn't feel like it. Because every time your heart breaks, it also expands. It learns how to love differently, deeper, wiser. At the end of the day, relationships aren't about perfection. They're about presence, being there, for yourself and for others, in an honest way. Sometimes you'll mess up. Sometimes you'll misunderstand. But if your intentions are kind and you're willing to learn, you're already doing better than most. It's wild how relationships can change the entire rhythm of your life without you even noticing. One day you're used to doing everything on your own, eating alone, watching movies alone, thinking your own thoughts in your quiet space. And then suddenly, someone's in your world, rearranging everything just by being there. Not in a bad way, just different. The silence sounds different. The coffee tastes better. Even the streets you've walked 100 times feel new when you walk them with someone else. That's the beauty of connection. It changes the colors of your everyday life without asking for permission. But then, just as easily, people can leave. Sometimes by choice, sometimes by circumstance. And that emptiness after someone's gone isn't just about missing them. It's about missing the version of yourself that existed when they were around. You don't just lose a person. You lose a rhythm, a routine, a mirror. You catch yourself thinking, they would have laughed at that, or they would have loved this song, and that's when it hits. Healing isn't just about moving on, it's about learning how to live again without those echoes following you around. I think that's why it's so important to build a relationship with yourself before you try to build one with anyone else. Because at the end of the day, you're the only person you're guaranteed to spend your entire life with. And if you can't sit with your own thoughts, your own quiet, then no one else's company will fix that. Being alone doesn't mean being lonely. It's just giving yourself the space to breathe, to understand, to recharge. You have to know your own rhythm before you can dance with someone else. We talk a lot about love being about giving, but I think it's also about receiving, allowing yourself to be cared for, to be helped, to be loved without guilt. That's harder than it sounds. So many people feel undeserving of love because of the things they've been through. But love isn't a reward for being perfect. It's a reminder that you're human, that you matter, even on the days when you feel like you don't. Letting someone love you as you are, that's brave. And then there's vulnerability. The word that everyone throws around but few really practice. Vulnerability isn't about oversharing or being dramatic. It's about letting someone see the parts of you that aren't polished. It's saying, hey, this is who I really am, and trusting that they won't run away. It's scary, but it's also freeing. Because when someone accepts you like that, without conditions, it's like exhaling after holding your breath for too long. Of course, not every relationship will last forever, and that's something we all have to make peace with. Some people come into your life to teach you lessons: patience, self-worth, forgiveness. Others remind you of your strength by breaking your heart a little. It's all part of the same story. Every connection leaves a fingerprint on who you become, and even the painful ones shape you in ways you might not see right now. And sometimes, love doesn't end because something went wrong. It ends because it's time. People grow apart, priorities shift, the connection fades, not out of anger, but out of life simply moving on. That kind of ending is bittersweet, but it's also the gentlest kind of goodbye. No hard feelings, just gratitude for what was. At the same time, some relationships really do stand the test of time, not because they're perfect, but because both people keep choosing each other every single day, even when it's not easy. That's the quiet power of commitment, not a dramatic promise, but a daily decision. The decision to stay kind, to communicate, to grow side by side instead of apart. It's not fireworks, it's maintenance. It's love showing up in the small, consistent things: patience during bad moods, laughter after arguments, forgiveness that doesn't need to be announced. And honestly, love isn't always romantic. It's in the way your friend listens without judging. It's in the way your family shows up when you don't even ask. It's in strangers who hold the door, in the texts that say, "Just checking on you." Love is everywhere. You just have to slow down enough to notice it. The longer I live, the more I believe relationships aren't about possession, but appreciation. You don't own people, you experience them, you share moments, memories, laughter, and lessons, and maybe, if you're lucky, you leave each other better than you found each other. That's enough. So yeah, relationships are messy. They'll teach you patience, humility, and sometimes heartbreak. But they'll also remind you that you're capable of deep connection, that you can care, forgive, and try again. And maybe that's what makes life worth it. Knowing that even when things fall apart, the capacity to love never really goes away. It just changes shape.